Hello, lovely people of the world.
Magandang araw sa inyong lahat.
안녕하세요, 여러분.
Ahlan wa sahlan.
This is Justin.
Sarah. The kids are all in bed.
We have a devastating news in our Park family.
So if you guys have been following along our journey, our most recent videos, you would have learned that his mom unfortunately had a stroke and was rushed to hospital, but was thankfully able to come home and almost fully recover. However, not long after that, we heard that something happened.
So I think it was about 2 weeks after mom came home from hospital. My dad was rushed to the hospital and they did an x-ray on him and found out that he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
As you guys know from our previous and most recent video, while his mom was in hospital, his dad was also reporting shortness of breath and feeling lightheaded and feeling like he doesn't have any strength and weak. He was feeling weakness. However, he refused to come see his wife in the hospital because he just felt like he was what did he say? Something like one person at a time. He didn't feel like he wanted to go to the hospital in case they would need to keep him in the hospital at the same time as his wife. So it's almost as if he just dealt with what he was going through and waited for her to come home before he went for his checkup.
So it was just the internal medicine doctor who did the x-ray and diagnosed him with stage 4 cancer. But it wasn't until 4 weeks after that he got to see a oncologist and get the final confirmation that it is indeed stage 4 pancreatic cancer. So my dad stayed in the hospital for about 2 weeks. At my sister's request, he was discharged and he went home, and it felt like he was recovering a little bit at home, but another 2 weeks later his condition got drastically declined and he had to be rushed to the hospital again for the second time. And for the second stay, he stayed at the hospital for 1 week, and during that week his condition rapidly declined and he got discharged and he came home again. So he came home about 4 days ago after the second time he got hospitalized, but it seems like he doesn't have much time to live. And my sister is still in denial that she thinks that it's nothing serious, it's just kidney stone. The doctors got it wrong, that if she feed him soy milk and some other healthy food, then he's gonna be sprung back to life. But the way I see it, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think doctors are right that this is pretty late stages of cancer and death is imminent.
So I was visiting. I went there with Jaden to visit his dad during that second hospital visit, and that's when I happened to bump into the oncologist who had been visiting his dad for the very first time. His sister unfortunately went home at the time, so I was the only family member that was present to ask questions and to also listen in on what the oncologist had to say. And yes, he did confirm it is stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and that he claims that your dad would only have a few weeks to live. He said he highly doubts he'll make it to a month. So I had to bring Justin. I had to put Justin on the phone, put him on speaker so that he could listen in and ask any questions he wanted to ask, since the oncologist also mentioned that after this initial visit that he may not be visiting anymore, because at this point he believes that since it's stage 4, meaning the cancer has already spread to his dad's body, there is no point in opting for any medical treatment. I think there was one treatment that they said that they would try to help with the narrowing of the ducts, the pancreatic ducts and all that. So he said that that's the only procedure they'll be doing just for symptom relief. But other than that, they're not planning on doing any curative or giving him any treatment to help cure his cancer.
The weeks leading up to the very first time he got hospitalized, he was already not eating well. He was eating like 1/5 a portion of food that he normally eats. So he was eating very little. So he was rapidly losing weight the weeks leading up to the first hospitalization. So at this point, he is just nothing but skin and bones. He's way too weak to do chemo at this point. He's not gonna survive chemo.
We had a bit of a conference call with his sister while his sister was visiting his dad at the hospital, where we kind of discussed what's the next plan, like what are our next steps going forward. And then there was a bit of a disconnect there because I was already talking about how, based on my experience, when someone is considered like stage 4, has stage 4 cancer, basically all we do at this point is just comfort measures to make sure that we maintain his dignity and also improve, just sort of like just offer him the best possible quality of life during his final days. So I was suggesting like, just be prepared. There's going to be a lot of pain and a lot of suffering, and the doctors might need to give him something stronger than just Tylenol, like maybe some morphine, which will keep him comfortable and all that stuff. But then the disconnect is where his sister was like, he'll be just fine. As soon as he comes home from the hospital, I'll do everything in my power to, revive him and bring him back to life. And then, yeah, I didn't want to say anything much after that because, of course, like if his sister's in denial, then I kind of didn't want to cause her to be even more upset than she already is. So I was more so preparing Justin emotionally and psychologically for what to expect and what's to come. I was hoping that he would be able to relate to his sister that, hey sis, let's just make sure that we have everything in place so that when dad does come home, that he would be comfortable in bed. And yeah, that was a discussion he had with his sister. I'm not sure how that went.
It didn't go so well.
She got mad at you or something? Yeah.
So my point of view was, you gotta ask the patient how he feels, what he wants for the remaining days. And my sister is saying, no, you don't ask a patient that question. And she compared to somebody who is suicidal. If somebody is suicidal, you don't ask the person, do you want to kill yourself or do you want to live? You don't ask that question. So that's how my sister was taking, yeah. But I almost feel like that's very selfish point of view too. Like, you want your dad to live, so I want my dad to endure all the pain just because I want my dad to live.
And like force feed him, even though he has no appetite, just force feed him because I want my dad to live.
Yeah, but then my dad is enduring so much pain at this point.
And you said you spoke to him, like you asked him what his wishes are,
yeah.
Whether he wants to seek medical treatment or...
Yeah, and he said he just wants to go as soon as possible with the least amount of burden to his family.
Like go home and just pass away at home, right?
Yeah.
He said he didn't want to stay in the hospital any longer.
Yeah, because if he stays in the hospital, then he's asking his family members to come visit, pay the parking fee, and drive over there and visit him. So he doesn't want to make his family do all that. So he just wants to go home and go quietly.
There was a team of medical professionals that were they were sort of offering some home care services to his sister and his dad. But then your sister, I think, declined to have your dad go over to hospice, which is like basically like a home-based facility for people towards the like that are facing their end of life. I mean, over there you would have nurses, healthcare aides, you'd have all of the help possible to help with your dad's like most basic hygiene and comfort needs. But yeah, your sister declined all that and said that she can take care of him herself at home.
I think because she's in denial, she thinks this is just a kidney stone or something simple like that. My dad was in the hospital for the first time. He asked me if there's anything that I want to say to him. And then I said, I am still not over the fact that he never showed up to my wedding and didn't get to meet his kids for 4 years. And I want to know what his response was, but he just said, okay, so that's that, anything else. He didn't want to talk about it, so I didn't push him anymore. And every time when doctor comes in and asks whether he's in pain, he always says, I'm not feeling any pain. And I think that's kind of giving my sister a false hope as well. And because he's always claiming he has no pain, my sister thinks that it's not a stage 4 cancer. But even though my dad is in extreme pain, there was time when it was just me and my dad in the hospital room, no one else. And my dad was grunting and saying in Korean that it hurts too much. So I know he's in pain.
But he tries to like stay still as well, right?
Yeah.
Because he knows if he moves, he'll show that he's in pain. So he kind of just stays still and tells the nurses, nope, no pain.
And then when the doctor asked, do you want to take medication that's stronger than Tylenol, like morphine? He declined all those options. I think he has in mind that those kind of drugs,
like
narcotics are for bad people. Because he saw in the news how some drug addicts and all that. So he has in his mind that only the bad people take drugs, and I'm not one of those bad people, so I'm not gonna take any of those drugs.
Also, your sister does a lot of Dr. Google research.
Yeah.
We're just like, Dad, they're trying to kill you off with all these medications you're taking. And it's like, if you have questions about your dad's medications, maybe ask the healthcare team so that they could explain to you why he's on them. Or why they would offer it,
So ever since I heard the news that he has stage 4 cancer, I have not shed a single tear over it. There might have been times when I look distant, I'm just staring off into a void and emotionally disconnecting from the reality. I think I've done it a couple times since I heard the news, but so far I haven't cried. I feel like I feel like my dad's gonna go pretty quickly here, maybe a week or 2 weeks maximum, I think. And I think when I finally hear the news, I'll probably get a phone call from my mom. Then I think my reaction would be one of 3 things. One would be I'll be crying my eyes out, snot everywhere, I can't get out of bed. That'll be option 1. Option 2 is just feeling numb, looking into distance, just staring into a void. Or option 3, I would bury myself in work and almost pretend I didn't hear any bad news and just focus on work and put all my mental energy into work so that I don't have to think about what's painful.
Yeah, I constantly check in on Justin, asking him how he's doing. I'm like, are you okay? It's okay to cry. It's okay if you're feeling emotional. Just let it out. If you want to talk about it, I'm here for you. And Nothing. I can't get anything out of him. He's just like, I'm okay. I'm fine.
I think I've been like bearing myself in work too. Whenever those topic comes up and my wife tries to get me to talk about it, I would immediately change the topic into work.
Like, okay, so, you know, I gotta do this stuff to tomorrow. I have so much to do today, blah blah blah. And I notice like he kind of jumps on it too. Like if I ask him to do something, I'll say, hey, can you help me with that? He'd actually jump. I'd like go ahead and do it, which is not usual for him. Usually he would like, is that a request? Or he'll say, yeah, I can do it. Or are you asking me to do it? Something like that. Yeah. I'm also trying to cheer him up. Like I try to push him like, hey, go visit your dad, go visit your dad. And that's one thing I also notice is that it's as if in a way he's kind of in denial too because he does not want to see his dad. It's like he doesn't want to tarnish, I guess, the memory of how healthy his dad was versus how the state that he's in right now. You know, that's why it's like, go visit your dad. It's like, oh, I will. I just have so much work to do.
I actually, all of us with all three kids went over to my parents' house earlier today, but it was just me who went up to his room. I didn't bring anyone else, so kids didn't get to see my dad. We only did a little short video call, even though my kids were on the main floor of the same house, and my dad and myself were on the second floor of the same house. We just did a short video call because my dad looks like skeleton. Like the temple area is completely sunken in. It's very hard to look at his face.
But was it his wish to not see the kids?
Yeah, I asked him.
I mean, not have them see him, I guess.
Yeah. Because at the hospital, I asked him, do you want to see your grandkids, before you go? And he said yes. So I said, okay, then we'll come over one day. And when we did finally come over, I went up to him and said, do you want me to bring up the kids? And he said no. I think he knows how he looks, how scary he looks, and he doesn't want our kids to look at how his face looks right now.
But I feel our kids are way too young to even notice these things or, like...
So I showed a bunch of videos of kids on my phone, and every time I showed him, I saw a little bit of smile in his face, and he was even trying to like wave at Jaden, because I showed him a video of Jaden, eating his food, just grabbing food off a table and eating.
Oh, you should have brought Jaden up to him.
And my dad was like waving his hand in front of my phone.
You could have brought Jaden up. He doesn't know anything. Right? Then just hold Jaden the whole time. Right?
And initially we were saying that all of us agreed that he wants to be cremated when he goes. But just today, I think the topic has changed, and now it seems like my mom and my sister and my dad all wants to be buried in ground instead of cremated. So now I'm doing some research and what that means and who do I need to talk to and how much it's gonna cost. So once again, I'll be preparing myself in work in that, doing some research in that.
Have you ever cried when you hear of any death in your family or in your circle of friends, coworkers, classmates? No?
No.
Never cried, hey?
Never cried.
I'm a little bit nervous to see what this might do to you. But I'm gonna be strong for you, and yeah, just know that it's okay to feel what you're feeling and to just let it out. Okay? I'll be your rock.
So I have a work Christmas party coming up. But
in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Murphy's rule or Murphy's law, anything bad that can happen will happen. So my guess is that my dad will pass away on my work Christmas party.
If that happens, have you decided whether you'll still attend or you will drop everything?
I don't know. No, probably you would. I'll get a phone call while I'm at the party. That's probably what's gonna happen.
I hope not. That would be like the worst Christmas party ever. Do you want to go see your dad tomorrow? You see, I keep doing this to him. We keep doing this dance where I'm like, hey, go see your dad. You're like, oh, I have so much work to do. What do you guys think? What advice do you have for us? What advice do you have for Justin? How should he deal with this process or what he's going through?
What I really want to know from him is those 10 years he distanced himself from me and my family because of some ideology that he had, that he somehow thought that all black people are bad people, so he thought that my wife was one of those bad people, and he even brought up some statistics, how statistically more black people are in jail, blah blah blah. So therefore, he justified it that way. So that's why he didn't see my wife and he didn't see my kids. But earlier this year was the first time he got to see my kids. Like
Jaden.
no, before that, Sabrina and Chanel's 2-year birthday. They had a 2-year birthday, 2-year and 4-year birthday celebration, joint birthday celebration. And that was the first birthday that my dad got to witness for Sabrina and Chanel. So why did it take him that long to finally see the other side? And now how does he think? What he feels, knowing that my wife is not a bad person, she's actually a really good person, and my kids are really beautiful looking kids.
And they're sweethearts. They're so loving.
And now that he has crossed that bridge and he came to the other side into knowing that, my wife is actually a good person. Now that he crossed that bridge, what does he think about how he acted for the past 10 years? That's what I really want to know, but I don't think he's going to give me answers to that.
Probably best to leave that in the past and let bygones be bygones, because, do you really need to know the answer? What matters is now he is comfortable with us. First of all, I had no idea your dad had that ideology. I thought it was your mom and your dad was just following her lead. So I don't know. Are you suggesting he also had shared the same? Okay. So, yeah, let's just focus on today, the present, and move forward. You know how in our culture, our parents especially, they believe that they know best. They believe that they are better than us. So it's kind of hard to bring that up. I'm pretty sure they're never going to admit to any of their mistakes. That's just not the culture that we grew up in. Of course, you and I are going to try to change that dynamic within our own family that we're creating. Hopefully keep the conversation open and also be completely transparent with our kids, right? And yeah, hopefully we break that cycle and do much better than how our parents parented us, I guess. Hopefully. We can only do our best. There's no manual or handbook out there. I hope you are okay and at peace, though, with the way your dad, and your family basically have been estranged from our family. You need to be at peace. Because my fear is that when your dad passes away, because you had not gotten an answer from him, that you would hold sort of this grudge towards him. So I kind of need you to process and be at peace with that before he goes. If there's something you really need to get off your chest, do it while he's still with us, for your own peace of mind. Do you know what I'm saying? But try your best not to bring up the past.
Remember I said that we went over to my parents' house earlier today, so I actually got to talk to him one-on-one, and he asked me whether I'm gonna be okay after he goes, and I said, yeah, I'll be okay. And next thing he said was, try to help your sister if you can. And then I said, 사랑해, which means I love you, to my dad. And I put my hand over his arm, and then I stood up and walked out of the room. I think that was the first time ever that I told my dad that I love you.
I had no idea that was going on upstairs. So you feel a bit at peace that you finally got to tell him how you feel? Like, Dad, despite everything, I still love you.
Despite everything, I still have a lot of good memories of playing badminton with him when I was a kid.
At the park?
Yeah, and there was time when he and I were racing, like running.
Who won that one?
Oh, she did. He was even running backwards.
That was my dad. Are you sure you're not having a memory of my dad? That was my dad. He did the same thing. He's like, is that the best you got? So hold on to those memories, Papa. Yeah.
There are memories of we're going on a family picnic. There are some good memories.
Hold on to those memories when he passes, right? Because I'm sure he would want you to remember him like that way. But just get everything you need to get off your chest. Do it now. I guess in a way, this is how I see cancer. I see it as a blessing in disguise, where at least you have time to say goodbye, right? It could have been worse. Like your mom's stroke, for example, it could have gone either way. And then you would have felt like, you didn't get a chance to tell her everything you needed to tell her. But thankfully, she recovered, So with your dad, I don't know. I feel in a way you're blessed because at least your dad gets to say his final words and wishes, messages towards you guys, and you get to also tell him whatever you need to tell him. And yeah. Just know we're here for you, Papa. Okay? I can give you multiple hugs if you need it. And I can give you space if you need it to. Okay?
Okay, so that's a wrap. Okay, thank you everyone for watching this video, and bye everyone.